Welcome back, Freedom Family. I'm Casey Peterson.
And I'm Michael Peterson.
And welcome to another family night, weekly family night. And tonight's topic is family.
Yes, but before we get into telling you why family should absolutely be your top priority, we're going to recap last week's family night lesson.
So the three main points from last week's lesson on discipline, if you watched that video and did a family night yourself, those three main points are, number one, if you remember, discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Number two, discipline equals freedom. Meaning, if you have the discipline to control your emotions, you gain the freedom from being controlled by your emotions, and discipline to do any other action grants you some sort of freedom. And finally, how did you work on discipline this last week? So great to go over those things with your family just to kind of recap. But our question on family this week is, why is family one of our core values? We have 12 American values that we're trying to restore to America. We are reclaiming the children and restoring American values. That's what Freedom Families United mission is. That's what our mission is. That's why we're building up communities and meeting in person in these communities. You can join at freedomfamiliesunited.com if you haven't done that already. But why is family one of our core values?
So the three main things we want you to remember about why family is so important is that raising a strong family rooted in values is the most important thing that you can accomplish in your life. Number two is that your spouse should be your best friend. And number three is we want you to work on presence, honesty, and service in your family.
That's how we work on strengthening our families.
And when we say family, we're primarily talking about the parents and children relationships, whoever, is in your home, your immediate family. And then it's also applied to grandparents, adult siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, etc.
And just think about what type of relationships you want to have with your kids and your future grandkids, and what type of relationships you have with your current parents and your aunts and uncles. And you are setting the example for your children, and your children need to think about what they want as they grow up and get older. But raising a strong family rooted in values is the most important thing you can accomplish in your life, because you're completely replaceable in every other aspect of your life outside of your family. And I want to stress that. You're completely replaceable outside of your family.
But at home, you're completely irreplaceable. Your first, second, and third priorities in life should be raising a strong family rooted in values.
That's what real success and meaning look like. And people get distracted by their hobbies or their job or career, whatever it might be. And I don't care, even if you're the CEO or owner of a company and you think that's so important, if something were to happen to you, they would replace you. They would find somebody else to take your position. Another company would step in and do the work. You would be replaced. You are completely irreplaceable to your family.
And even if you're making a big change in the world, Mother Teresa said, what can you do to promote world peace? Go home and love your family.
And that's profound, because family is the first and most basic unit of government for every single individual. And we talk about smaller government. Your government starts in the home. It starts from the individual, and then your family, and that's where all the government gets their power. They get their power from us. And then you give that power to your local authorities, and then it branches out from there. Small government doesn't mean the size of the government. Small government means limited government. That means distributing power and not centralizing authority. And the family establishes society's core values, not the other way around. Wherever we see a breakdown in the family unit, we see growth and takeover of government. Creeping totalitarianism. Think about it. In low-income neighborhoods with an abundance of single-parent households, that's where all of your government intrusions and dependence come in, and that's also where all the crime and problems are.
And that leads us to our second thing we want you to remember it's about marriage. That family has to be headed by two people. Your spouse should be your best friend. You should nurture that relationship so that you are working together towards your goals. You have to agree upon your values that you want to live your lives by, and you have to agree on your parenting strategies, and you have to have some basic rules of communication. There's going to be a lot of forgiveness and grace, and you really have to have those honest, deep conversations to move forward together in your parenting strategies, and if you want to create a legacy of values in your kids.
And when we say, we don't just say your spouse should be your best friend because it's some lofty goal. It's whether you're married now or you're going to be married in the future, you should be aligning your values. Number one, if you want a long-term successful marriage, align your values first off. But it's because if your spouse is your best friend and you have that deep of a relationship, then you have enough energy to give of yourself that overflows down into those relationships with your children. If you want a strong family, it starts right here in your marriage between you and your spouse. You get that right, then you can get your family right.
And there's a lot of books and stuff on and other channels that you can listen to about marriage and parenting. And one of my favorites is the author Zig Ziglar, and he has a ton of videos too. But he is really amazing on parenting and on marriage and communication.
Zig Ziglar is a great resource. And there's a quote that I think is fits in well here that says, family gives you the roots to stand tall and strong. So your family should be your built-in support system. If that doesn't currently exist, then you need to create it. If it's broken, then you need to fix it. They should be your strongest support system, and you should nurture these relationships because they are the most important relationships that you will ever have in your entire life, and you should nurture them with every bit of energy you have. It is the most important thing you accomplish in your life.
And you can do that through, like we said, we want you to remember presence, honesty, and service.
And the reason we talk, every time we talk about these values, they all connect, right? We have the 12 American values that we're trying to restore in order to reclaim the children. And Freedom Families United, you can go to freedomfamiliesunited.com and check out those 12 values there. But presence is about being present and teaching your children to be present with other people, having the discipline to set your devices down and show people how important they are to you, being present with your children when they're there, having your children be present with you, teaching them that discipline.
And I think that's honestly, so both presence and honesty is the way you show people that you love them. You put down your device or you stop what you're doing and you give them your attention. And that's really showing them true affection and love.
Yeah, and then for relationships, right? Your relationship to anybody is built on trust, good or bad. And your trust is just a byproduct of honesty. So it's one of the first values that you can start teaching younger kids is that aspect of honesty and talking about how it connects to relationship and how that trust is what makes for a good or bad relationship, trust or lack thereof.
Yep.
And then finally service, because service is love. If you love someone, then you will serve them, right? You find ways to serve them. That's what a good relationship with a spouse is. You're not in a competition. You're constantly finding ways to serve and better each other. And that goes towards your relationship between you and your children. And then your children, that's the relationships they're trying to build between them and their siblings and them and their parents. And all these relationships that are important to them, especially family, should have service at their core as well. So presence, honesty, and service is something that we should be working on this week, specifically in regards to our family. Now, for our discussion, this is probably the most important part of this whole entire thing, is pausing this and asking some questions. This is example questions, so ask what you want in your own family. But these deep conversations are the thing that probably look forward to the most. And so quickly, these questions are, number one, how would a lack of presence, honesty, and service tear apart a family? And these typically get harder and harder as the question goes on. Number two, how is a family different than just a close friend?
Number three, what could we do to strengthen and bring our family closer together this year? And number four, what distractions keep us from connecting more frequently? So you're going to have to be honest about what's distracting you from
Even
spending
parents
time
get
together.
way too distracted with TV and their social media.
Or work
So-
or whatever.
Recapping the three main points. Number one, this is what we want you to remember for next week and remember and think about through this week. Number one, raising a strong family rooted in values is the most important thing you can accomplish in your life. Number two, your spouse should be your best friend. And finally, work on presence, honesty, and service this week.
And then after that, we're going to have a fun activity. This week, we wanted to play Catan with the kids. It's a bit longer of a game, but we really enjoy it. And so we're going to play Catan. I'll probably have Taylor make some banana bread, and we're going to watch Cheaper by the Dozen, because that's all about family and family values, and it's really a fun movie.
So let us know your thoughts on family.
Join or start a Freedom Families United community near you, and please consider making a tax-deductible donation.